What's going on, guys? Today we're going to get to work on the 90 Civic Si. Sometime in the middle of last year I picked up this rear diffuser. A good friend, his name is Matt Krennick. I want to say thanks again, Matt, for the diffuser, and thanks for hooking me up with it. He shipped it out to me from California, and I've had it in the garage ever since. It was my intention to get it on my 90 Civic, but I just never got around to getting it installed, and got a little free time today, so I want to work on, see if I can get this mounted onto the back of the hatchback. Matt wasn't sure if it was a PCI diffuser, but looking at the construction of it, I thought there's no way that this is one that was like an eBay brand or some generic one, because you rarely see diffusers for sale. So I snapped a handful of images to it and I emailed them to Brian, the owner of PCI, Pro Car Innovations, and he went ahead and verified that it was one of his first gen diffusers and made for the EF model. It also comes with a couple of mounts. This one, obviously, it's going to go on the reverse side, so that way it's going to bolt up and hold. It's essentially going to be like this on the bottom of the diffuser, and we're going to figure out a place that we're going to try to mount those. And you have these for the front, so I'm sure some of my hardware, I probably have hardware that'll fit on these mounting locations, and same with the rear. I don't know, but this kind of looks like the M6 by 1.0, which is pretty much all the Honda 10s. So we're going to try that out, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to figure something out with the correct hardware for getting it mounted. Now my issue is going to be my exhaust. It will not allow me to mount it high enough onto the car. It'll be hitting the bottom of it, and that won't give me a whole lot of clearance for these little fins on the diffuser. So I'm going to remove my exhaust today, and I'm going to see about trying to do a small turn down right in the middle, right before the gas tank. And I'm going to use the original piping. I'm just going to cut off the muffler. I'll cut off one of the 90-degree bends, and I'll use those for a turn down. And let me see if I can devise something that'll keep the exhaust right in the center of the car. And I've been meaning to do that. That was my intention. So let's get started on that. Let's get this exhaust removed and see what we can do about measuring it up and getting it welded back on right in the center of the car. Okay, so the muffler is about 10 inches long from the beginning of the piping to almost the end. I can make this a little shorter if I need to. I don't need all this extra tip on it. So after getting into the car, let me see if I can show you guys. You see where the resonator ends? That is right here. I think I'm going to cut it right there and then add the piping. But it looks like I measured it and the 10 inches ends like right about there. So I think I'm going to use the 90-degree bend. So I'm basically going to have my muffler in this area right here. Use a 90-degree bend, and then I'll like cut one of these old bends off of the old muffler, weld that for the tip. And then after the bend, I think I'll just have a turn down coming out here to the side. I think that way it would give me a little more room. If I put it in here, the room just looks like I'll be cutting it close, and I don't want to have it too close to the gas tank. I think it'd be better to just keep that 90 bend there, because it'll direct it away, and then the air will come this way and it'll shoot the fumes all out towards the side of the car. So let me get this removed and get some of these pieces cut up, so get them welded on. That way I can start measuring. I think first thing I need to do is just get the mini muffler cut off and weld it onto the end of the resonator. Okay, so here's the piping removed off the car. I wanted to line up the canister so you can kind of see what I was getting at, where I wanted to place it. And I just had to connect it at the end of the test pipe. So let me get my camera mounted. As I was measuring, if I look, once I cut this, it should fit perfectly. As you can see where the end is, and then I'll be able to have that bend. And then maybe I can use one of these to create, oops, my bad. Maybe I can use one of these to create the turn down right here after the bend. I'll have it just come and then cut it off. This one, it doesn't go down super far, but I could probably just cut it straight across so it is a complete turn down. And then put that right here so it comes to the side and then goes straight down. And the reason I'm doing that is I really like the way that this muffler setup sounds. It's just like a little mini muffler. I don't know if it's supposed to be a resonator or not. So I went off eBay. I'll link a couple videos up in the corner if you want to see more about this that I did in the past. But I'm a really big fan of the way it sounds. It doesn't sound super crazy loud. It's not quiet. It has a nice grunt to it, but it doesn't sound like a nasty fart can. So it's one of the whole reasons I want to keep the resonator and the muffler on there. Okay, here I got that section removed. Did a little crooked there, but I can fix that with my grinder. I'll probably just grind that little portion off, make it smooth, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to open this up, and once I get the piping on there, if there's a little bit extra there, it won't necessarily make any difference once I weld it. That one came out nice and smooth and straight. But I want to show you the length. Let me get it lined up. So this length is essentially perfect. Now, if I need to slide a little bit, I can remove that tip, get a little extra length there. So that should work perfect for my plan on getting that in there, creating the bend, cutting there, cut a piece there, and add, I might actually use this one, it's probably a little bit better of a bend to create the turn down. Okay, I got that section welded on, and someone in one of my old videos told me to hold, I'm using the Harbor Freight flux core wire welder. Someone told me to hold it closer, and it made a much better job. Whoever gave me that tip, I don't know if you're watching this particular video, thanks for that. That really made a big difference, and it did go on a lot smoother. Alright, here I got it test fitted. Everything's hooked up. Of course, those aren't completely 100% tightened. Trying to make sure it pulled it all the way forward, held it into place. And I have more room than I needed, so I'm not even going to make the bend anymore. I'm going to use that piece. I'm going to open it. Now I'm going to make it a little shorter. I'm not going to hang down as low, and then even this out. So my turn down is just going to end right there. That was my initial plan, and I think I'll be okay. I'm still going to retain the little heat shield for the gas tank. Thought about maybe turning it this way a little bit, but I don't think that's necessary. So I'm going to get this in here, cut that out, open it up, measure it, and get it welded on. Let me go ahead and finish that up, and I'll show you that once I'm done completely. First thing I'm going to do is open this up. If you haven't seen these before, these are like a pipe spreader. You can get it from Harbor Freight. Pretty inexpensive. All you do is it spins it and it starts to open this up, which will essentially open up your piping. Let me try this with, here's a 19mm socket, and I'm going to use the gun instead today. I want to put it in. No, I guess that'll be fine. Okay, so the pipe spreader helped. It doesn't make the hugest difference, but you could see right there. Now, it's gonna pretty much just line up, so it's gonna be like actually tucks in just a little bit, but I think that'll be perfectly okay. I'm gonna get that welded on, that way I can get test fit and see where I need to cut on the bottom of the turn down. And there it is, guys. I know my welds aren't that pretty, but you're never gonna see it. It sits under the car. Completely functional is what this exhaust system was all about. Let me get it put on the car. I did kind of angle it a little bit so it shoots out a little bit more towards the passenger side and a little bit further away from the gas tank, so that side is a little more recessed. But I really like the way that it's put together, and let's get it on there and start it up, see how it sounds. Alright guys, I got the exhaust on. And also I want to apologize about that background noise. My neighbors are having their front yard landscaped, so maybe just tearing it up today. But here's how it sits. Came out perfect. I love the turn down. I imagine it's going to be louder though, that I shortened it and there's less bends. It's quite alright. It's a track car. I'm not driving this thing daily. But really happy with the way that came out, using a mini muffler to help keep it resonated. I'm sure without it, it probably would have been substantially loud, just like straight pipe. And I got it cut so the lowest portion on the tip right here doesn't hang any lower than the canister and the resonator itself, so I shouldn't have any issues with it catching on anything or rubbing. So now let's work on trying to get that diffuser put on the car. Okay, and here's a small test fit. I'm using my floor jack to have it lifted. I think it's probably as high as I can go. Otherwise it's going to hit on the tow hook. And I think when I was looking online, if you Google EF PCI rear diffuser, you're going to see this green one that comes up, and this looks similar to how they have it mounted. Sticks out a little bit, I think, naturally, because it's not going to go any farther in. I have it pressed up against my lower bar, and I think I'm going to actually use that lower bar to maybe mount it. I'm not sure. I'm going to try to figure something out with those little brackets and keep it level height with that little bar in there. And then the hanging ones in the back here that mount here, those are going to go up, and I'm not sure. I'm going to have to figure out if I'm going to mount them to the bumper or the actual chassis of the car. Okay guys, after taking some measurements, I figured it out. See how there's 2 holes on each side? See right above the sway bar? 2 holes. Now, depending on height, of course, looks like some of these were drilled additionally. So, yep, what you could do, I'm going to reach in here and you can get to the back of these holes so we can put a nut on the reverse side. Or it might be even easier to put a bolt. We'll figure that out. But you can reach those. So I'm going to find some hardware that I can use. And I'm going to need to figure out what I'm going to do with this bar. I'm going to see if I can't. I don't know if it'll hit my sway bar. I'm going to try to mount it upside down. Because right now it's hanging too low, and with this mounted, you see how it's in the way? The height of it is a little bit different. That's at the lowest possible setting. So I wanted to lift it up a little more. It won't even match. So I'm thinking if I can get the bar above it and have that mounted, it'll be the best possible thing, because I measured it, and the way these mount, they go there and then these slide on the bottom side. Just use some hardware to hold it to the front. So that makes it really easy to mount the front. So I'm going to work on getting this lower bar off, see if I can't rotate it upside down. If not, I might have to just use a different bar altogether, maybe one that goes straight across the middle. And we'll see what we can do about getting this diffuser mounted on the front. And so to get the mounts on, I just got a large washer, a large 10mm bolt, which is the M6x1, and just fed it through. Really easy to get those on. Okay guys, I got the front brackets on, and that was easy. The holes are actually large enough to fit some 10mm bolts. It just looked smaller because they were dirty, so I just pushed those through. I have the nuts started, but I have it loose because I want to get it mounted, make sure it's not all out of position. Now for the rear, I was looking at it, and there's really not a spot to mount it. I think you're supposed to drill a hole in the back of the spare tire tub. So I'm going to remove my rear bumper real quick. We'll get the diffuser mounted, and then we'll see how it lines up with that additional bracket on the back of the diffuser. And here I got it mounted on the front. Have it pushed up to, I think, the height I'm going to keep it at. It keeps it maybe ½ inch off the tow hook. I don't want it vibrating and rattling. If it does, I'll just squeeze like a little piece of foam in there. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and drill some holes into the chassis now. That way I can just mount the bracket. And the cool thing about that is it'll be easy, because all I gotta take off is 4 of the bolts that are facing down. Then I can easily pull it off and pull it inside the house. I don't gotta worry about it getting stolen if I do leave the car outside. And that was easy. Just drilled 2 holes, fed the bolts in from the inside, just so it's not sticking out as far. Can't really see, it's a little dark, but all you see is the heads now. And I put some thread locker on there as well, so I don't gotta worry about those coming loose. And then I can just take off the 2 bolts at the bottom, leave the bracket on there when I store the diffuser. So I'm gonna get the front brackets. I'm gonna put the bolts in at the nuts. I'm also gonna put some thread locker on those because those are gonna stay on the car. And then I'm gonna see about getting the bar mounted upside down on top of it. If it doesn't work, I'm just gonna leave it off for now. I don't know if it's really makes much of a difference at all. But we're going to see if we can get it mounted upside down and see how that looks. And here I got that lower bar mounted. Now what I did, the brackets normally would hang down and out. This bracket is from the driver's side and vice versa. So I rotated them on each individual side, and then I flipped them upside down. So the bar still mounts, but it mounts higher now, and I'll be able to slide in the diffuser right underneath it. So it kind of works out perfectly with how the brackets mount and the bar mounted. I also swapped the hardware because it had this kind of hardware on it, which I don't necessarily care for. It's a pain in the butt to tighten when it's facing the top. So I just put some Honda hardware on there, made it a lot easier to tighten the bar and get it on and off. And before I put the bumper back on, here's a look at it. Everything bolts up perfect. Hardware I used was real nice. Just a large washer with one of the Honda bolts, and everything in there fit perfectly. I'm really excited that it's just kind of like a straight bolt-on affair without any modifications except for drilling those 2 holes in the little spare tire area. And here it is mounted. Fits perfect. Really happy with the way it came out, and I love that it's so easy to remove, just taking off those 4 10mm bolts. So I'm gonna get the car lowered now. I'm gonna go wash it. I want to clean the car. It's been forever since I've washed it. Then I'll get you some final look at the exhaust and the diffuser. Get a couple exhaust clips in there as well. Alright guys, here it is finished up. Got it fully mounted. And I didn't have any issues. I was driving it around. I went and washed the car, threw on my CPS 2 wheels, and it didn't catch on anything. I was curious if it would maybe hit like a speed bump or going up and down inclines, but nothing at all, which is good. And it's similar to a muffler, I think. A muffler probably hangs lower when it's a stock style, so I shouldn't have any issues with it catching on anything at all. But I dig the way it looks. Looks pretty aggressive back there. Now I think I need to get or make some side skirts. I think I'm going to try attempting making my own. Those PCI ones are really nice, but I think I have in my head an idea what I want to do with some brackets and maybe even the material I want to use for the side skirts, and also a front splitter. So I think that's something I'm going to attempt here in the near future, hopefully before the June event, because we have 2 months between this event and April 29th and I think June 22nd. So I get plenty of time to get outside and tinker around with it. What do you guys think of the look with the blue wheels on here? The 195/50 tires look a little small, and that's mainly because I want to keep those on my CRX without having to roll the fenders. But it still looks cool. It just another reason I put them on there, as the RPO ones, I want to have a chance to get those sanded down and get those painted as well, so those are finished. So I'm going to leave these on the track car for now, just until I get a chance to work on those. And lastly, before I get out of here, let me get you a couple exhaust clips. Now it does sound louder, obviously, with shortening the piping. It's almost like a straight pipe, but it still sounds pretty mean. I dig the way it sounds, so thankfully I'm not going to have to mess with the exhaust anymore, because it can be a real pain in the ass cutting it up and welding them. It's just really time consuming. So let me get a couple pulls in. I'm out here on the west side of El Paso behind a new hospital. Has a decent amount of room, so I can get a couple of maybe like first, second, and third gear pulls in, and let's see how it sounds. And that'll be it for today's video, guys. Thanks for tagging along, and I hope you enjoyed the content. We'll see you next time.